Your brain talks, spark your mind, guide your actions. Have you ever stared at a blank screen, not because you're lazy, but because your brain just refuses to cooperate? You know you have a goal. You even know how to start. But something invisible holds you back. And as the hours pass, you find yourself in the same place, stuck in a loop of hesitation. In today's video, we're going to talk about something deeper than procrastination. We'll explore a quiet but powerful trap your brain creates, called mental resistance. Then we'll walk through 3 science-backed ways to break through it and finally start moving. Mental resistance isn't laziness. It's not about willpower either. It's about friction, your brain perceiving a task as threatening, confusing, or overwhelming. Resistance grows strongest when the task feels too vague. You failed at something similar before. You don't feel emotionally connected to the outcome. Let's take Sam, a university student. Every time he sits down to work on his thesis, he feels heavy. His brain floods with unrelated ideas: check email, make coffee, scroll Instagram. Why? Because starting his thesis represents fear of judgment, of not being smart enough. And so, his brain resists. Mental resistance is like fog. The more you stare into it, the thicker it becomes. But if you learn how to take one clear step forward, the fog begins to lift. Another example is Dana, a freelance illustrator. She puts off opening client briefs, not because she lacks skills, but because she's afraid she won't meet expectations. Her brain protects her from imagined failure by feeding her distractions. Resistance, again. If you recognize yourself in Sam or Dana, you're not broken. Your brain is doing what it was designed to do: protect you. The key is not to fight it, but to gently guide it. This is a deceptively simple rule: commit to just 5 minutes of doing the task. Why it works? It shrinks the perceived threat. It lowers the activation barrier in your brain. It often leads to doing more than 5 minutes once you've started. Let's revisit Sam. One evening, instead of committing to writing 1,000 words, he just opened his thesis document and promised to write for 5 minutes. That small action bypassed resistance. He ended up writing for 42 minutes. This is how momentum works. The hardest part isn't doing the task, it's starting it. 5 minutes is often all it takes to transition from frozen to flowing. In a study from Stanford University, researchers found that people who made a micro-commitment to begin were over 65% more likely to complete the full task than those who planned in vague terms. Try this now: pick a task you've been avoiding. Set a 5-minute timer. Start it, right now. When we avoid something, it's usually because there's a hidden emotion behind it: fear, shame, uncertainty. A powerful technique is to name that resistance out loud or in writing. This makes it feel smaller, more manageable. Example journal entry: I feel resistance toward replying to this email because I'm afraid I'll sound unprofessional. Once named, your brain shifts from avoidance to curiosity. Is that fear realistic? What would I tell a friend in this situation? This naming process also activates your prefrontal cortex, the brain's center for logic and planning, helping you override emotional avoidance. Let's return to Dana. One morning, before opening a new brief, she scribbles in her notebook, "I'm avoiding this because I'm scared I won't be creative enough." That simple act makes her exhale. The fear is real, but now visible. Less monstrous. She opens the file. Begin sketching. Try this: before your next avoided task, pause and write down the first 2 to 3 emotions that come up. Label them. Then begin anyway. Imagine motivation like a line of dominoes. You only need to knock down the first one. The one-tile method is about identifying the first microaction you can take, something so small, it's almost laughable. If you're stuck on an email, the tile is opening your inbox. If you're avoiding a workout, it's putting on your shoes. If you can't start studying, it's opening your notes. The first tile creates a chain reaction. That tiny act tells your brain, we've started. This method works because it aligns with how dopamine functions. Dopamine isn't just a reward chemical, it's a motivation chemical. And small wins release it. In Japan, this concept is echoed in a practice called Kaizen, the idea of making continuous improvements through tiny, consistent actions. So, knock down one tile. Then the next. And the next. Let's review. Commit to just 5 minutes. Name your resistance. Knock down the first tile. Try combining them. I don't want to write because I'm afraid it'll suck. Name it. I'll just write for 5 minutes. 5-minute push. Step 1 is opening the dock. One tile. These micro-habits compound over time. Soon, you'll find yourself doing things you once avoided, without overthinking. And remember, motivation isn't something you wait for. It's something you trigger through tiny action. The brain doesn't resist forever. It's simply trying to protect you. But the more often you show it that action is safe, the less resistance it will create. Start today. Pick one task. Use the 3 tools. Here's your challenge. For the next 3 days, each morning, do the 5-minute push on your most resisted task. Journal how you feel before and after. You'll be surprised at how quickly the fog clears. Final thought, you don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Thank you for being here with your brain talks. Your brain talks, spark your mind, guide your actions.